Hey, welcome. It is June 23rd, and the aviation industry is really growing right now. Things are really getting hot. Hey, we're going to talk today about what you have to do to be successful in the aviation industry right now as things are emerging, and focusing specifically on some of the things that we're doing in digital in order to be successful. Stand by. You are not going to want to miss this. Hey, I'm here with Larry, my business partner today. Larry, how are you doing today, Larry?
Hey, Mark. Really great to be with you again. It's been a while, I think, since we've been live. And hey, welcome to my kitchen again.
Yeah, great, good. Hey, listen, I want to tell everybody that Larry and I are coming back online live, and we're starting a new regular live broadcast, which we're doing Wednesdays at 9 o'clock Pacific time, 12 o'clock Eastern time, regular, to focus on ideas and what's happening in the industry and how you can be successful in the implementation of digital within your business. But more specifically, what do we have to do in the aviation industry in order to be able to create success right now? Because it's really super important, for us to do that. Hey, really quickly, if you're out there watching our live broadcast today, we have so many great loyal followers. Hey, give me a shout out in your comments and tell us where you are and where you're coming from. We always like to know where people are. And we're going to be taking some live questions as we talk about the industry and how things are emerging. Hey, Larry, I wanted to share a quick story with you. I traveled over the weekend, and I went from Seattle. I went from Florida to Seattle and then back again. I went out to visit my father for Father's Day, but I was on 4 different flights this weekend. Okay. And let me tell you what is that the airports were packed. It was just busy out there today. I was on 4 flights, and I think one flight had 3 or 4 open seats, but other than that, they were 100%. Load factors were 100%. It's just really incredible what's going on right now.
Yeah, I think I heard Mark, over the weekend for two or three of those days over the Father's Day weekend, TSA had over 2 million passengers per day. And so we're back to pre-pandemic sort of travel. Numbers.
Hey, and one of the big challenges right now is it ends up being a bit unpredictable because I had some family members that ran off to the airport early in the morning and they zipped right through TSA. And then I showed up a couple hours later, and it was one of those kind of days where the check-in line snaked around into the lobby, and there was someone with a big sign that said the end of the line is here because you couldn't even figure out where the end of the line is. Let me tell you what, the industry is just coming back right now in full force right now.
And as a passenger, that just adds an extra layer of stress to the whole travel, the whole travel experience, Mark. You were brave to go through all that.
Yeah. Hey, Larry, I talk to people all around the world, all the time. And I was talking to somebody, even with our close neighbor to the north in Canada yesterday. And, Canada is not that way. Canada is still, mostly, closed down right now. And so what's really coming back right now, let's be specific, is what's coming back right now is domestic travel in the U.S., all right? And the domestic travel is just, rapidly coming back, to capacity. But what we are seeing is that we don't have that international travel right now, of course, because of the difficulties in still traveling internationally for most people.
Well, so Mark, everyone's like me, they're tired of being in their kitchen. There's so much pent-up demand. I mean, everybody wants to go somewhere this summer to get out of their homes and kind of enjoy the U.S. again. But you're right, the international travel still not to the numbers that the pre-pandemic.
Yeah, but what we're immediately seeing right now is we're seeing some challenges, though, in meeting those demands. So we saw in the news in the last couple of days that there are airlines that are already canceling flights in July, because they can't meet the demand. And, Larry, you heard what some of those reasons were for that, right? I mean, why were some of those flights being canceled?
Well, they can't get the staff, whether it be pilots or flight crews, to man to man the flights.
Yeah, and they've had difficulty getting some of the aircraft back into service, because of the labor, to be able to do that. And so one of the things that we're definitely seeing is the airlines are saying, hey, we're ready to go, but we're having difficulty putting people in place because, we have staff shortages. And I heard on the news this morning that there was training issues with getting people back up trained and getting them back into positions. And so yeah, the industry is really coming back fast, but we're having some challenges in doing that. And so one of the things that Larry and I wanted to focus on today is that we are going to be coming to you on a weekly basis to talk about the things that you need to do, that you can do to be successful, in the industry right now today in order to be able to meet those demands. We know there's demands around labor. We know there's demands around how to be more efficient. We know there's demands around how do we get our aircraft back in service. We know there's demands around, putting in place things like technology. Hey, Larry, there's an interesting thing I heard this morning. I was listening to a guy talk about technology and aviation, okay? Yeah. And he said, hey, one of the easiest things to do in technology was to leave aviation, leave an airline and go work at Google or Amazon or something like that. And so the IT guys had an easier job of transitioning somewhere than others. And so guess what? Now the industry is coming back, and where does that leave the airlines?
Yeah, they just lost. I had a personal experience. A personal friend of mine who worked at Boeing for 20 years. He got a job offer at Amazon, essentially a program manager job, a 70% raise over what he was making. So you're right. Those IT companies are recognizing the skills that some aviation professionals have, and bring them in to help them grow their business. But Mark, one thing I just also wanted to say is, we're seeing recovery, but the factors that are important in terms of growing your business are kind of the same as they've always been. They're just highlighted to with a much brighter light in terms of knowing your customer, managing your employees, and being engaged with your employees. It's just so important now, especially as you described, the airlines and I think across aviation. There's an experienced drought.
Yeah. So Larry, what are some of the thoughts that you have on how we stay engaged with customers? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, first off, you do have to kind of identify your closest customers, your most important customers, and maintain that personal relationship with them. And I realize, that personal relationship might be a Zoom call, or it might be a LinkedIn session, or, but you have to find a way to stay connected with your customers. And I think, one of the ways that's really important to do now is, leveraging social media is a key way to stay close to your customer.
Yeah. We need to be creative, Larry. I got a video message this morning from a salesperson that was reaching out to me to sell me something. Okay. And I had reached out to them, sent them a text and said, hey, I'd like to talk to somebody. And, I didn't answer the phone because I have too many things going on. They wanted to call me back and I didn't answer, and I know a lot of people don't do that. And so what the person turned around and did is they sent me a personal video message. Okay. And I got by text a personal video message from that person. And it was actually pretty effective. It drew me back into them, and I actually called them back because they sent me that personal video message. And so, we need to find creative ways to use technology to be able to reach out to people and create success today. And I thought that was a good example of doing that.
Well, this, Mark, as the workforce gets younger, they're just so experienced in using these tools. I mean, a friend of mine said, well, let's just set up a Snap and do it right away, do a Snapchat right away. Or another friend says, here, look at the Snapchat of what we did yesterday. I mean, that's just how they interact with the world around them. And I think we have to be aware of that and embrace it.
Yeah. So Larry, with the labor shortages that are existing out there today, I have different jobs that I'm doing with different MROs and some different companies right now. And just a really good example is that there's a software company that I'm helping right now. And they are actually having difficulty implementing at the airline. It's a regional airline. And the reason they are is because during the pandemic, a lot of their key technology people, IT people left, like what we were talking about. Right.
Yeah.
And so now they've had to slow down their implementation, and they're having difficulty with the expertise, and they're actually having to put more time and effort into it because the customer has less expertise. Okay. But so, we're definitely faced with those kind of challenges. And so, Larry, one of the things that you said is that we need to reach out to our best customers and to help them. Well, this software company, what they're doing is they're actually going an extra mile and going out and helping them, in the implementation. And so, that's definitely a way to help keep and attract the customers to go an extra mile and give them some extra help.
Right. And, one thing we haven't touched on at all, Mark, is you have to be agile. I mean, you certainly have to have a plan and you have to have a strategy, but I think now more than ever, you have to be willing to embrace change to that plan. and not only have a plan A, but have the plan B, C, D, and be willing and aggressive in adjusting your plan to what's happening in the market, because the market is changing on a daily basis, like you just described in your travel experience.
Yeah. Larry, there's another company that I'm working with right now, and what they focus on is they focus on helping MROs and overhaul, vendors to be successful in implementing of execution tools, automated execution tools. Okay. And so let me explain, just for the people listening, what that really means is that, you may have digital task cards, or you may have digital documents or different tools, but what they're doing is they're helping to actually optimize the accomplishment of work. So, production planning tools and work assignment and actually, accomplishing the work steps, signing off electronically, closing out work, for execution. Now, I've actually seen, Larry, that those kind of tools can produce between 10 and 40% improvements in labor, when implemented properly, right? And when we're sitting here in a world right now where we're trying to figure out how to get things done with digital, okay, implementing those kind of tools that reduce the demands on our labor are one of the things that people are doing out there right now.
You're right, Mark, and when you say digital and you and I say digital, it kind of boils down to paperless, right? That maybe that's a word that people can embrace a little bit more. Because a friend of mine asked me the other day, you're telling me the airline industry isn't paperless? I go to the doctor, there's no paper. They do all the tests, they send me an email, and there's all my test results, on a website. And you walk into the doctor. The medical field has learned to go paperless. I said, nope, that's not the way aviation works today. And there's so many opportunities to move into that. We call it digital transformation, to move into that paperless environment. It's exciting. It's fun. I think the young workforce knows how to take us there.
Yeah. And this particular company that I'm talking about, they're doing an implementation right now at a major engine overhaul facility as well. So it's not like just, like airframe MROs. It's like, engine overhaul facilities and things like that, because all of us are faced with having not the complete digital that we're really looking for in our implementations. And Larry, let me just address one thing for a minute, is a lot of times when we talk about paperless, we say, well, we can go paperless, and frequently people have jumped on PDF tools, all right, and things like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so, PDF certainly, can put an image of a piece of paper on your device, but it doesn't give you full, functionality, out there that exists and what you need. And Larry, you guys were doing a lot with rolling out digital, at Boeing, with some of the tools that you had. What did you find out there that was really some of the most effective ways for people, to implement digital? Was it PDF, or was it more structured, intelligent data? Or just give us some ideas on what kind of things people did to be successful.
Well, Mark, I think there's a continuum, right? There are people that just implemented PDF and they got some benefit out of that, right? But if you're able to use intelligent data and really make use of that intelligent data, you get a lot more benefit. And so the background, the foundational data is going to drive, I don't mean to be too dry here, but the foundational data is going to drive how much efficiencies that you're going to, and how much increased capability you're going to recognize from a digital transformation.
Yeah, and if we kind of look at, Larry, you talk a lot about the value chain of the process of going from paper to digital. All right, so let's just talk about that for a minute. Is that if we look at the high level process, we all know that once we've made a commitment to do this, all right, and in many ways, the circumstances that we found ourselves in over the last year and a half have caused us to have a more resolute commitment to doing this. All right. So I don't think there's any doubt that people know that they are committed to doing this today. All right. But Larry, one of the most important things that people need to do next is really understand the value in what they're doing, and what's the business processes that, if digital is applied to it, would make the biggest impact on their business. All right. So it isn't about running out and buying iPads and deploying iPads out there with a bunch of PDF on it. It's really stepping back and looking at, what do I have to do to be able to create efficiency and improve the highest value functions of our business by the implementation of digital? I mean, you saw a lot of that, didn't you?
Absolutely, Mark. And I think sometimes it takes a visionary leader to really jump in and make a commitment to make a change and bring the staff and bring the people and bring the organization along with his vision. So it takes more than iPads to make the transformation and to realize the benefit. It takes a plan, a strategy, people buy in, and I think what we always saw is once people embraced the technology, they were able to do great things, and they were able to ask questions they could never even fathom before in terms of improving the business.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Larry, so let me ask you this question. If we have some viewers out there today that are watching, and if they are thinking to themselves, hey, we have to make some improvements. Everybody usually has an idea of something that they want to do in their business to be able to create, efficiencies or improvement. All right. Larry, how do you go about identifying, the place to start? Because, there's such a broad range of things that we need to do to be successful. How do we go about just identifying where to start? It just seems like such a overwhelming task.
Mark, you've heard me say this before. Think big, start small, go fast.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So you need to look at the whole organization, but pick a few, 2 or 3 pilot projects that is an area that needs improvement, but also that you have the right people that really want to make the change, and then just go, because once you go, you're going to learn. So think big, start small, go fast.
Think big, start small, act fast. Is that what you said?
Go fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that really makes good sense. And so I've always kind of said that, Larry. People get overwhelmed by how much they have to do, and then they get a bit paralyzed, and then actually don't do anything. And so I do think that's a really good response or an approach to things. So for those of you out there watching today, and you're asking yourselves, is that how do I optimize? How do I create optimizations in my business? Listen, over the next few weeks, we're going to begin to address many of these different subjects. And, the challenges that people have is that even today, we have difficulty getting the good structured data that we want. And I emphasize the word good, okay? And so we have to address that. We have to address, what do we do about the data that we're getting today, all right? The next thing that we have to do is we have to say, well, how do we manage that data? What do we really have to do? Do we need a content management system? How do I make changes? How do I manage revisions? What about task cards? What about production control? What about execution? What about mobile devices? What about records? What about electronic sign-offs? I mean, all those things. And so we want to begin to address, a lot of those things that you need out there to be successful. And so Larry and I on a weekly basis are going to come live at 9 o'clock Pacific time, 12 o'clock Eastern time, and we're going to be addressing a lot of these subjects.
But, Mark, this morning it's just me and you, and we're kind of talking a little bit of an introduction and kind of getting back into talking about how to be successful and how to do successful business in 2021. But one of the things we also want to do is bring in some other experts to be able to talk about some of the subjects that I think are really timely right now, like supersonic commercial transport, or or urban air mobility, or blockchain, and how do these things be evolving, or even something as simple as how do I make a LinkedIn video that tells that I get out to everyone that helps me explain my strategy and marketing. So we're going to start bringing all those pieces together into a pretty compelling story about how to grow your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, for those of you out there watching, we got a lot of people out there watching right now. And I just wanted to say that if you have any questions for us, go ahead and feel free to throw them out there. Michael, Patrick, Matt, I've seen you on a lot of our broadcasts in the past. He's coming to us from the UK. Matt, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate that. And, we have Sridhar, joining us. Thanks for joining us. If you got any questions, we'll actually address your questions live. But what I wanted to say is that, Larry and I over the last year have done, collectively about more than 350 live broadcasts like this. And for a good portion of them, we've brought in guest speakers, like what Larry said. And there's a tremendous amount of value from that. Let me just tell you this, is that, listen, if you have access to people that have been through something before, leverage that knowledge, reach out to them. I'm always reaching out to people and asking them to join, my interviews or my live broadcasts, because, I want to learn from those people. All right. And why go through everything on your own? This journey is not on your own. We need to look at what successes are around us and leverage the successes of people around us and implement them in our own businesses. And so I want to invite you to join our regular, broadcast we're going to have. Larry and I have been through this. Larry, how long have you been working with digital in your career?
Well, I would say a little over 20 years, Mark. But that
20 years?
a little bit.
Yeah.
And obviously some aerospace experience before that. digital world, about 20 years.
Yeah. I gotta tell you is that I was just out of high school and I was thinking about how do I implement digital and implement computers. And, as a young man, I was frustrated by the fact that I could only get airworthiness directives in paper. And I couldn't search on them. I couldn't find them. At least today we've made some progress, to be able to access, a lot of that data and information. But, frankly, that was nearly 40 years ago. Okay. And, and today, we've made some improvements, but the industry has not progressed as fast and as far as what we wanted to. And so let me just tell you this, is that Larry and I have been working this problem for many, many years, and we are absolutely committed to the success of this industry. And that's why I have brought in so many people over the last year, and we've worked with so many people. We've conducted virtual summits. We've conducted interviews. We do consulting. And so, we are going to continue to focus on doing that to help, people to be successful. Larry, let's kind of wrap up this discussion today, but I want to ask you this, is that, hey, what are the key things that you would share with people about what do they have to do to be successful in the implementation of digital? What do you think are some of the key factors of success?
Well, I think those things we've touched on a little bit this morning, Mark, it has to do with strong leadership and strategy, commitment. It has to do with knowing your customer. It has to do with engaging your employees in a way that my dear friend Marilyn Geis says, lead with humility.
Yeah.
And it has to do with technology and embracing technology that inspires your workforce.
Yeah, Larry and I have developed sort of a 4-point methodology over the last few years that says, listen, number one, you have to believe in what you're doing. And you know what? It's been proven over and over again that the digital transformations out there that have been successful have been done by people that are absolutely committed to its success. You have to believe with leaders that are committed to the success, believe, all right? Then we have to leverage the knowledge of people around us and knowledge of vendors and people in the industry. So it's all about belief and people. Then we have to carefully look at processes that exist and make sure that we're not just randomly implementing processes, that we think might produce results. We need to focus on those which have the highest ROI, the highest probability of success, and doing the ones which are going to create the greatest return on investment in the shortest period of time for our business. And sometimes that's not so easy to do. But so it's belief, people, processes, and then we focus on technology. Many times we think that implementing technology is like the first thing that we do. Well, but my question for those of you watching is that what technology are you going to implement and why? And what's the impact it's going to have on your business? So those are the things that really, are really important, is being committed.
Mark, I like how you explain that. Through experience, there's a process that we've kind of developed about how best to implement, whether you call it paperless or digital transformation. I really like the way you described it.
Yep. And I like how you bring that down into just, simple terms. It's, many times we look at paperless operations, okay? And the IATA has coined in the past, paperless operations. And so for most of us, it's like, how do I get rid of paper? But it's not just about getting rid of paper. It's about creating the efficiencies that we need in our business to be successful. All right. And so digital transformation, is about more than just going paperless. It's really about creating a whole shift in your business so that the whole result is something which produces orders of magnitude improvement over what you're currently doing right now. And that's why those core factors, are required for the success of digital transformation. Hey, listen, Larry and I are in a business that's called Aviation Professionals for Digital Operations. And the company is Aviation Professionals. And if you want to follow what we do and where we go, pretty much everything revolves around our hashtag digital aircraft. If you do a search on Google and just search hashtag digital aircraft, you'll see hundreds of YouTube videos and LinkedIn and all the different things that we're doing. And we get involved in helping a lot of people in sales and marketing. We get involved in helping people do digital implementation and conversion projects. But mostly we like helping people to be successful in digital. That's really where our heart is and where our passion has been, for many, many years. And Larry just keeps coming back for more. Even though it's difficult and challenging, he keeps coming back for more, don't you?
Oh, it's fun stuff, Mark. It's fun stuff.
Yeah.
The business challenges are always fun to tackle.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we've had a couple of other visitors join us, from all over the world. Usually we have a visitor here. We have Alexis from Venezuela. Welcome. And we have another visitor from India. Good evening from India. It's just really amazing. Hey, Larry, one of the fun things I like about aviation is it's connected us. It's connected you and I with people all around the world. You and I have traveled in the past to remote parts of the world, and it's just really amazing that we can be connected with people from all over the world as part of aviation.
It is a rather small worldwide community that, the connections you make are lasting, and it is a bit of a small community of professionals in aviation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But all have a passion, right?
It does. So, hey, listen, everybody, I wanted to thank you for joining us today. And I wanted to remind you that Larry and I are going to be going live with special guests and giving you more tips and tricks about digital transformation, about going paperless in your operation. How can you be successful as our industry continues to emerge from these challenging times? Wednesday mornings at 9 o'clock Pacific at 12 noon Eastern. We're going to do this on a regular basis, and we're going to have some special guests as part of our live broadcast that we do. And we literally have done like 350 of them in the last year, and we're excited to be able to continue to bring you, such good ideas, from all around the world. Larry, thanks for joining today, and I look forward to our conversations next week. And for any of you that are watching today, if you have ideas, if you want to, give us suggestions on guests that we should bring on, or if you think you might like to be a guest on our program, I invite you to reach out to me and let me know what's your passion in aviation and how you can help the aviation industry be successful. And I look forward to having you potentially join our program. Larry, thanks so much. And
thanks for the opportunity, Mark.
I appreciate being here with you today, and I look forward to our conversations next week. Bye. Fair winds and following seas to you all, and have a great day.